Healthcare consumers, providers, creators, and advocates. Health and wellness should be everyone's top priority, and it's a dynamic topic, complex and sensitive to a vast array of factors from a local to an international scale. The healthcare industry is now at the forefront of everyday life and hopefully on the cusp of a renaissance. We're glad you've joined us for this series that explores the ideas shaping healthcare. I'm Minta Ferguson, healthcare architect and director of the Strategic Facility Planning Group, McMillan Pazdan Smith Advisors. And this is Ideas Shaping Healthcare.
My name is Samer Hamde. I am the healthcare practice leader at MPS, and our podcast today spotlights our MPS Advisory Services. I am here with two of my esteemed colleagues, Minta Ferguson and Heather Hayes, who are the heart and soul of our advisory services. We will start our podcast with a few warm-up questions about the two of you, and then we can delve into separate topics. First question, keep it simple. Can you both tell me a little bit about yourselves and your path to joining the team here at MPS?
Heather, why don't you go first? You have a really unique pathway.
Sure, I'd be happy to. So I'm actually a hospital administrator by trade. I have a master's in hospital administration and spent the first 20 years or so of my career working in hospital systems, including Wake Forest Baptist and Prisma Health, in progressive leadership roles in strategy and market development. So when I was working at Wake Forest, I had the opportunity to shepherd a large facility project from inception all the way to the doors opening, and that was a new hospital campus for that system. And it was one of the biggest gifts of my career that I was able to do that because it really opened my eyes to the design and construction world. I say that I caught the bug. At that time in my career, I developed an interest in that. It became one of my passions. And as I moved on to Prisma, I really continued to have interest in that area and was partially responsible for facility planning efforts there as well. And so it was always in the back of my mind that, perhaps there would be an opportunity at some point for me to actually make a move fully into that industry. And as luck would have it, I was a customer of McMillan Pazdan Smith for many years. In my role at Prisma, we worked with our firm a good bit on our ambulatory projects, especially. And I was able to get to know the healthcare team here and see the level of skill and integrity that they brought to projects. And so ultimately, that's what paved the way for me to join the company, those relationships that I built through the years as their customer.
So mine's probably a little less interesting. It's probably more of the traditional path. I'm an architect. I'd wanted to be an architect since I was about 8 years old, and started out in the traditional architectural route, but quickly realized that I love the front end of a project where you're trying to understand a client's goals and a vision, and you're doing a lot of problem solving, really thinking about how they need to function and operate and how all of the puzzle pieces really fit together. And started to realize there's a lot of information to collect really early on. So I just really started to focus on the early stages of a project. And joining MPS gave me the opportunity to really marry that up with the design side, which is not my strong suit, for a really well-finished product at the end to help our clients.
To me, it sounds like both of you serve the same two sides of the same coin. I love it. In your own words, what does the MPS Advisors team do?
I go back to that kind of how I got here, and part of that was helping drive decisions. It can be really difficult for people to make decisions and make really good decisions at that. And so what I like to think we do is help them make good decisions so their dreams come true. I was talking to Barbara Price, which is one of our colleagues here, and her goal of being an architect when she was little, she thought architects made everyone's dreams come true. And I like to think that we do that in a realistic way using data and information. We focus on the strategy, the planning, the operations to help clients really have a building or a department, if you will, that works for them, that drives results that they're looking for and impacts their customers, essentially.
Heather?
I have a very similar take on it. I like to say that we take the guesswork out of facility planning, and we use data and market analytics to help our customers make decisions and have confidence in those decisions.
We all grew up saying dollar's king. In reality today, data is king.
Data.
And you guys live in it, delve in it, and the outcome is always phenomenal to me. Every story is different. What drives you? What gives you the sense of purpose in this role?
I'm passionate about growth. I often say my personal brand is strategic growth because I'm not a fan of growth just for growth's sake. I'm always looking for that win-win situation where our clients can achieve their goals, but at the same time, provide something new and valuable to the communities we serve as well. That to me is really success, and that's what drives me in my role here at MPS.
I think what really drives me is improvement, progress. So I don't want to say it's kind of like Heather, it's not change for change's sake, but it is really, trying to get somewhere and making something better. And the more you make something better, even if it's in really small increments at a time, leads towards success and excellence. If you have a really lofty goal, how you get there, it may be in smaller chunks, right? How do you eat a whale one bite at a time? But when you're done and you look back, you've made some major headway, and it feels really good. And I like that impact, the smile at the end of the day when you see that.
Obviously, we're all made out of cut from the same cloth or fabric. I'm a big believer in Rolling Stones do not gather moss, and you guys like to change over and over in a good, healthy way for our clients, for ourselves. Can you share a couple of examples of how your work made a tangible, positive impact for a client?
So, Samer, sometimes we're hired to come in and give a honest take on something, really dig deep into the data and the analysis, both objective and subjective information to draw conclusions and make recommendations. And the reality is that a lot of our clients in healthcare today, they have really big and difficult decisions to make. And they have the potential to impact a lot of people and the communities that they serve and the patients and their lives and their outcomes. And so sometimes going into these, we don't know what the results will be, but we worked on one study where perhaps the results weren't exactly what the client wanted to hear. It was a little bit of a surprise, and could be taken as negative. But it really helped them make a good decision, and it helped inform their strategy and the direction they were going to go that ultimately would allow them to serve their patients and the community better. So while it might not have felt as positive in that moment, it really did have a good ending because they made a better decision with the information.
Heather, same question to you. Can you share a couple of examples of your work?
I think the work we've been doing lately with our clients around site acquisition has been very impactful. The healthcare market is moving very quickly, and real estate opportunities are few and far between. So our clients need to be able to make quick go, no-go decisions on these. And we've been very supportive in that for them. We're able to dive in and do some quick analytics to advise them on whether or not that property is a wise investment and whether or not it'll help them achieve their goals and move the needle in a particular market. And going back to what Minta said, sometimes the answer is no, and that's what they need to hear. If I had $1 for every time a doc walked into my office and said, "Hey, there's this property for sale on the corner, and I think we need to put my new practice there," I'd be a wealthy woman. So it's good to have that objective view coming in to look at the data and help our clients understand whether or not this is something they really should pursue or whether they should just let it pass them by.
Services like ours, from a consulting front, is really key to the success of all of our clients. Strategy in place eats any intuition all day. Minta, you mentioned earlier that you are an architect with more of a planner brain than a designer brain. I need to coin that statement, that phrase. I love it. What do you mean by that?
When most people think of an architect, they may think of really beautiful buildings that aesthetically are exciting and inspirational. But there's also a part of the architecture that is really about how they function for people, right? How does it support the daily work that happens within them? How do people interact, socialize in the buildings or around the buildings, and the design of them can really impact that. So I like to think of it as, the puzzle pieces, how the building comes together from a spatial perspective, a functional and operational perspective, and how that building supports strategic and business goals and community impact goals. That's really the planning behind it. How all of that comes together isn't always immediately seen with the human eye, but you rather feel it and experience it. So that's what I mean by the planner brain. I'm not picking the finishes or really looking at, the exterior composition of a building.
As we all know that there are a lot of different consulting firms that healthcare clients can reach out to for planning needs. Why is it beneficial to have these services embedded in an architectural firm?
So Samer, I just talked about how I have that planner brain versus others who may have that designer brain. We also have those with a technical brain too, but it takes all of those to complement each other on a project to really have design excellence at the end of the day. So I love that we have advisory services embedded within this architecture firm because we have all of those people. It helps the process be smoother. We're integrated with the client. We can communicate quickly and easily. Everyone is a few steps away or a Teams call away, and it helps close that gap. We have smooth transitions and a seamless workflow.
What is MPS Advisors' scope of services, and who else is on the MPS Advisors team?
We help clients with services to really problem solve whatever their challenge is. We can put the team together with the right process to do that. So we are looking at space and place and infrastructure. We're addressing strategy and financial concerns around projects, the operational elements, and then analytics and some of the research components. So we are able to provide services at that 50,000-foot view with master planning, looking at a market analysis, getting into operational improvements of a department and how that may relate to spatial planning, as well as the actual healthcare planning itself of a room or a department, and really understanding how research impacts all of that as well. The one thing I think that links to that question about why it's important that we're embedded is that through that research piece and having these services and this thought leadership about strategy and operations and planning early, is that we're able to then close that planning loop and help inform our own team members, help educate them, and then help make the next project better. So it's a continuous learning loop. So on our team, we have a number of people, of course, Heather and myself, but we also are complemented by Alec, who is a GIS analyst. We have a software developer who helps build our tools and software. And then we have a complementary team of healthcare planners and experts with various experience in different types of healthcare projects.
There's two words that always stick with me every time you say them: space and place.
Yeah.
Heather, you joined MPS last year and have a unique background. How does being a former healthcare executive give you a unique perspective as an advisor?
Samer, I really think that it's helpful when you've sat on the other side of the table. I've been in that decision-making seat before, and I understand all of the competing priorities that our clients are trying to balance when they approach us with a project. I understand the pressure these leaders are under to deliver results. I know what it feels like to get a market share report and see that a competitor is gaining ground in a critical part of my service area. I get it. I frankly understand exactly how complex and challenging healthcare is. But I think more than anything, I had literally spent 2 decades studying markets and understanding markets. And I'm a data nerd. I love it. I love getting in there and understanding the demographics and, the trends that are occurring in a market. And I just have a wealth of experience in that area that I bring to the table to help our team and to support our clients in developing their strategy and setting their path for growth.
It's been said that a building is not a strategy. What does that mean to you?
I love that question because buildings are fun, right? Like everybody loves going to a groundbreaking ceremony or a ribbon cutting ceremony, but lots of facilities fail. And it's because they're not rooted in sound strategy. You can have the most attractive Taj Mahal of a building, but if there's not a market for the services, if you can't staff it, if your patients can't physically get to it because of physical barriers, you're dead in the water. So it's really important to let the data guide you rather than starting with a solution in mind.
When is the best time in the project's life cycle for a client to reach out to the MPS advisors?
The best way to make sure that you are right sizing, right placing, and right programming a facility is to get us involved early on. That makes it much easier if we're on the front end and we can come in and ask the right questions and start running the right analytics versus getting so far down the road with the concept only to start questioning at that point if you're doing the right thing or not. So, Samer, I would say that it's never too early to call us because we can discuss what your goals are and determine when and how is the best way to get our team involved to support you.
Why do you think the value proposition for advisory services is greater now than ever before?
I've been at this a long time, and healthcare has always been a challenging environment, but healthcare margins are laser thin, and the competitive environment is more active and more volatile than I've ever seen it in my career. And so our clients, they simply can't afford to make a mistake. They can't afford to make a costly error by either A, pursuing the wrong project, or B, pursuing the right project, but getting the details wrong, right? So going back to that place and space, you choose the wrong site. It's not right sized. You don't have the right service mix. Our clients can no longer afford to make a mistake like that. So we're able to help our clients vet ideas and strategies to determine which holds the most promise. Because when you think about it, a sound strategy really comes down to priorities. There's a lot of different things that you could pursue, many of which would hold value and have a return for your organization. But we can come in and help you vet through those to determine which ones are the most important to pursue and are really going to move the needle and help you achieve your goals.
Heather distributed our top 40 healthcare systems in the country, and we were proud to say that we were working with a few of them. That itself speaks volumes. In addition to that, some of them are ranked in the top 5 in the country, and that in itself speaks even more volume. And actually, some of them called on upon us yesterday to see if we are interested in engaging even further with them. That is a testament to what the advisory services team do for us, do for our community, for our clients, and for what really proper health looks like down the future.
I think one of the things that I love about our team, Samer, is that we give the health system that's in the top 5 the same level of support as the small physician practice. So we really serve the whole gamut, and we put the same level of thought and effort in regardless of the size and scope of the client. I love that about us.
I truly appreciate your time. You keep doing what you're doing. Everything you do, it does make a difference in a positive way. And thank you for being my colleagues. Throughout my career in the architectural space, specifically for healthcare delivery, I took a small pivot in my career and I joined one of the most global real estate firms in the world with JLL. And part of that, I was leading the healthcare services from program management. But when it all came together is when I come to realize that the healthcare real estate was really based on data for clients that required a certain size to a certain location of a building and the acquisition of that land that gets the process moving. The part that was missing was the size of the building. What programmatic requirements is the client looking for? Does it really fit the need? Is it really in need or not? For me, advisory services become more important and more important from the architectural side because the architect is really more in tune with what the client needs because we understand the programmatic requirements. And then you marry up that actual ask the need with the real estate solution and the sizing and right sizing of facilities that which our team does a phenomenal job at really was the bow to this beautiful gift. And I cannot recommend enough how advisory services really propels the way for regardless of size of ship of a healthcare system down the right path in a direct line without the moseying around. And our advisory services skill set is on target. From a program management owner representation side of the business I was in, I've seen other firms perform in that regard. Our team is always on point, always on target. The data speaks volumes. And more importantly, like Heather said and Minta said, you have to understand what the data is telling you. Otherwise, it's just numbers. And I believe with Minta and Heather's leadership in this effort, the clients will always be first and will always be served in the right manner, in the right direction.